All right, so let's talk about fats. Fats are really important because they form everything for your body. So fats make up your entire brain, they make up your organs, they line every single membrane of your body. So you cannot exist without fats. And unfortunately, if you were a kid, which none of you were probably, of the 90s or 2000s like I was, what you're gonna see is that there is this whole low fat craze. In the same way there's a low carb craze going on now, people used to think fat was the villain. It was making everybody fat. And now, to be fair, fats do have over 2 times the amount of calories per gram that carbohydrates and proteins do. But the problem is that when we avoid fat, we also avoid all the nutritional value and benefit that comes from fat. Now remember, fat is the highest energy dense form of macronutrient, meaning that there's a lot. So when you break down a gram of carbohydrate, you get a certain amount of ATP, which is our body's energy molecule. You're gonna get over 10 times that when you're breaking down the same amount of fat. So there is a lot of benefit for that. And so you want to make sure that you're not villainizing and cutting fat out of your diet. You just want to know that not all fats are the same. Now, there are 2 different types of fat, well, 3 technically, but the third is we're not even going to think about it because I don't want you to have it in your diet. There's saturated, unsaturated fats are the 2 main ones, and then you have trans fats. So trans fats there are some natural forms, but the vast majority of what we see have been created in a lab where they are used as a food storage molecule that enhances the shelf life of foods. And these are what you're gonna see in things like shortenings and cakes and crackers and icings. Get in the habit of reading nutrition labels, because if you see something with a partially or fully hydrogenated anything on the back, you do not want to eat that. That has been linked to so much increase in cancer, it's not even funny. And most of the foods that have that have been finally recognized by the FDA as being unsafe for human consumption and are being phased out of let's say they're not going to be in the store. So always do your best to be your own advocate and look at the back of your nutrition label and cut that stuff out. Now, when it comes to saturated and unsaturated fats, though that can sound a lot more ominous than it is, it simply just says where the hydrogen bonds are on the molecule of the fat. So when we look at unsaturated fatty acids, the big categories are going to be the omega-3s, the omega-6s, and omega-9s. Now, the omega-6s tend to be the pro-inflammatory version, and the omega-3s tend to be the anti-inflammatory. And this can get easily confused because you think, oh, I want to reduce inflammation. But inflammation is a good thing, because that's what happens when you have inflammation and irritation in your body when you are lifting and training. That's also what allows you to heal. The inflammation process allows you to recover and heal. And the same thing with a sunburn. That is the process by which we get used to a stimulus and we get stronger. Now, omega-3s are anti-inflammatory, meaning that they're going to reduce inflammation, which is a good thing, because if we have too much inflammation or too much prolonged inflammation, that can cause situations where our body isn't healing well. Now, the problem isn't that we should avoid one and focus on the other. It's just that in our American diet, we tend to get a lot of omega-6s to the tune of even a 20-to-1 ratio, where the omega-6s, these cheapened oils, the peanut oils and all this stuff, we're getting like a 20-to-1 or 12-to-1 ratio relative to our omega-3s. A healthy ratio is going to be somewhere between 1-to-2 or 1-to-4 of the omega-3 to omega-6. That is a very rare thing in this country. So the best thing you can do is to start to choose healthier versions of the omega-3s so that you're getting a higher volume of those, and choose wisely when you're getting the omega-6s, meaning, to simplify all of that, get things like fish, nuts, seeds, and vegetables, avocado specifically, and stay away from things fried food. Then on the other hand, we have our saturated fats, which are considered less healthy fats, though this term is changing over time as we realize that they're not the villain we once were. And the problem with eliminating saturated fats is that we also tend to lose a lot of the valuable cholesterol and vitamins that come with it. So understand that most saturated fats are going to be found in dairy and animal products, which also have a lot of valuable nutrients and vitamins. So we don't just want to get rid of those. And this is one that we've changed the tune as you realize that the link between saturated fat and coronary heart disease isn't as strong as we once thought. So this is part of being able to pay attention to what's happening and not just take someone's word for it, is that things change, we learn things as we grow and continue to expand our knowledge. However, within these, the quality of the animal source that these saturated fats come from matters a lot. Animals will store their toxins in their fat. So if we are getting butter, or let's say meat that has a higher fat content in it, but it's an animal that was sick and that wasn't treated well or was given a lot of antibiotics, that's going to be a much lower quality. When we choose things like grass-fed or free range or wild caught, we're going to get a lot better quality of food and a lot healthier version of those fats because we're not dealing with the toxins from the poorly treated animals. So yes, better quality food is more expensive, but it's more expensive for a reason because it reflects how much that actual food costs to make. So the big story here is to choose better food. Beyond that, saturated fats are a great source of cholesterol. For a long time in America, and still today, you'll see a lot of people that are afraid of cholesterol. They get their cholesterol measured in their blood, and if it's too high, they start to worry about it. But the problem is that most cholesterol is genetically determined, meaning that your heritage is going to play a big part in how high and what a normal resting cholesterol level is. Secondarily, the majority of the cholesterol that's floating around in your blood is created in your liver, so it's not necessarily linked to what you're eating. Eating an egg, for example, with the yolk has a decent amount of cholesterol, but that will have a tiny, if any, effect on the amount of cholesterol in your blood. Understand that cholesterol is an incredibly important part, and the United States was actually the last first world country in the entire world to remove a daily recommended intake limit on cholesterol. So you'll see things that are shifting where we've now put a limit and recommendation on how much sugar we should get each day, but we've taken off the amount of recommendation for cholesterol and saturated fat. The big thing I want you to take away from fats is that having a variety of sources of fats, red meat, chicken, fish, turkey, dairy, eggs, nuts, seeds, avocados, are an important part of maintaining a healthy diet and getting us the nutrition and vitamins we need across the board. In addition, the quality of those fat sources matters a tremendous amount. So make better choices when you're choosing your fat, protein, and carbohydrate sources, and your body will reward you for that.